What's up, guys, and welcome back to Audibles. We are now in our NFL Divisional Playoffs. It is January 20th. I do want to remind you guys to please follow us at Twitter, YouTube, and now we are currently on Spotify. So if you can help us out with that, give us a couple of plays. If it's more convenient for you to just hear the audio, not go through the YouTube video, we would really appreciate it. But now I'm going to pass this on to Jared and Garrett. Jared, if you want to lead us off with your picks.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and get us started on the quarterbacks. My favorite cash play this weekend is going to be Josh Allen going up against Kansas City. Josh Allen threw for 5 touchdowns against a tough New England defense who was number 2 against the quarterbacks coming into the playoffs. And this game currently has the highest over-under of the weekend set at 54.5. So I really like him to put up some points this week. And for GPP, my favorite quarterback is going to be Matt Stafford at 7,400. He's coming to Tampa. The Bucs were middle of the pack, ranked 18th against quarterbacks. Stafford had a 3-touchdown game last week against Arizona. So I think in order to beat the Bucs in Tampa, he's going to have to throw for a ton of yards and a few touchdowns to Cooper Kupp.
Did you get tickets?
No, I did not get tickets.
Come on, man. I thought you were a Rams fan.
Nosebleeds are about 175 right now.
I'm going to take that jersey off your wall.
Who you got at quarterback?
So I'm also a big fan of Josh Allen for cash. Obviously, he's going to be the safest bet. So if you're any of your cash lineups, you're going to go with the guy that has the safest floor. For GPPs, I mean, we're getting down to the point where there's only a few teams left. So as far as who you're picking for GPPs and cash, it's got a small pool to pick from. But I'm a big fan of Joe Burrow versus the Titans this week. He's going to be a popular play, but you get a solid floor with a very high ceiling, and you're getting a quarterback that's sub 8,000 as far as the FanDuel salary goes. Titans are much better versus the run than they are against the pass. So Joe Burrow should be able to light up their secondary and get Cincy to their first AFC championship since 1988.
Yeah, I have Joe Mixon as a bust this week going up against that number 1 running defense. So if they want to win, Joe Burrow's definitely got to get it done.
Yeah, well, he's not much of a hotter quarterback right now besides him and Josh Allen. So.
All right, let's move on to the running backs. I think it goes without saying one of the best cash plays this weekend is Derrick Henry, but he is expensive at 9,000.
He's expensive for a reason. The king is back.
I think he'll be fully healthy going into this game. He's had plenty of time off, and he doesn't want to miss this game, and he wants to be a big part of it.
Yeah, Henry is obviously like you said, he's a no-brainer. If he's starting, I'm paying up for him at that 9,000 price. But on top of that, if Henry doesn't start, I'm even taking Deonta Foreman at 5,500. Whoever is starting at running back for the Titans, I'm going to go ahead and take. Don't be scared of Henry being on a touch count either. This is the playoffs. They're going to use their best players to get to that next round. So I'm not worried about any type of pitch count or anything like that. Foreman is an easy choice as well if Henry doesn't play. He's got a cheap price and he filled in great while Henry's out. So there's no reason not to take him.
I think my favorite play at running back this weekend, and I feel is a really safe play for cash or GPP, is Devin Singletary at 7,200. The last 3 weeks he put up 22, 24, and 23 fantasy points, and he's clearly leading that backfield. He had 16 carries, 80-something yards, and 2 touchdowns last week, so I'm not afraid of anybody taking his share of the runs this week. He should be a safe play, like I said, for cash or GPP.
Yeah, and that game looks to be a shootout. I don't see the Bills' offense struggling at all against that defense. So let's see if Devin Singletary, who can keep that stranglehold on the running back touches for that offense and keep his little hot streak going.
The only person that is really threatening his running is Josh Allen at the moment. So
yeah, but he's still going to get his opportunities. I'm also a big fan of Cam Akers versus the Bucs this week. I know the Bucs are a really good run defense, but he's only going to be 5,700, and I'm trying to spend up everywhere that I can. That's why I'm going with Joe Burrow at that under 8,000 price and sticking with Derrick Henry at that 9,000 price. And there's some wide receivers that are up there in price that I want to pay for too. So I'm going to try to save salary anywhere I can. But if you've watched that Rams versus Cardinals game, Cam is back and he looks just as explosive as ever. 6 months after tearing an Achilles, and it looks like it never even happened. He only averaged 3.2 yards per carry during the game, but he did have like a 20-yard run brought back, a 15-yard run brought back, and I think there was another one brought back. If he would have got all those runs, he would have been close to 5 yards per carry. He also had a catch for 40 yards, and if Matthew Stafford didn't throw a bad throw and miss him on his second target of the game, he was wide open, could have taken that for another 30. So he's a big play waiting to happen. He looks just as fast as he used to be. And at that 5,700 price, I'm taking my shot so I can afford some of the great wide receivers along with Derrick Henry.
Yeah, he's definitely my favorite value running back this week. Doesn't look like he lost a step whatsoever. So let's move on to wide receivers. My favorite safe play at wide receiver this week out of the people over 8,000 is going to have to be Davante Adams. Cowboys found success throwing against 49ers last week. They just could not run the ball against them. And I think it's going to be a similar situation this week in Green Bay. Davante Adams is going up against the 49ers, who have the 7th ranked defense against wide receivers. And he
It's
can put up
Davante Adams. I don't care what the
shit.
defense is.
I mean, I
It's
guess he is
Davante Adams.
matchup proof. But I mean, out of Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, Deebo Samuel, I'm going to have to go with Davante Adams as my favorite play at over 8,000.
Yeah, he's a lot cheaper than Cooper Kupp is, and you're going to get the same type of volume, if not more, because we all know Aaron Rodgers hyper targets him. Not only on top of that, but they can get down onto the 1 yard line, and instead of giving Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon a goal line carry, they're just as likely to do a wide receiver screen or even one of those little tap passes with Davante Adams going in motion. So he gets used like a running back at the goal line.
My favorite GPP wide receiver this week is going to have to be Emmanuel Sanders. The last game he was coming off an injury, but he still got 36 yards and a touchdown. He only got 3 targets, but I'm looking at this game, and I think he's definitely going to have an uptick in targets this week. It's going to be a shootout like we were mentioned earlier, and they're going to be throwing the ball a lot with Josh Allen.
Yep. So I'm going to bring up some of the other names that are a little higher in price. I mean, obviously Cooper Kupp's a good way to go, but he is 9,500. If you can afford him, obviously throw him in there. Matthew Stafford and him did great against the Bucs the first time they played him in the regular season. But I'm going to go with my stack. I said I'd like Joe Burrow, so I'm obviously going with Jamar Chase. The Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase stack is going to be very popular, but there's no reason not to go ahead and just eat that chalk this week. Might as well keep it going. I also like Deebo Samuel versus the Packers at 8,600. He only received 3 targets last week, but that's more so due to Jimmy G still recovering from that thumb injury that's on his throwing hand, and the Niners kind of held control of that game for most of the game. But with him getting as much work as he does on the ground and in the air, that game could turn out to be a shootout, and I'll go ahead and take the focal point of Shanahan's offense.
And Jamar Chase, not counting the Browns game because they didn't really play any starters, but he had 507 receiving yards the last 3 games that he was starting. So he had a 50-point game against who was that? I know he beat you in the fantasy playoffs.
I can't remember who his opponent was.
But yeah, he can definitely be a slate breaker, so be a good choice.
Yeah,
There was one other value wide receiver you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, my value play is going to be Julio Jones this week at 5,600. Last time Julio played, he got 9 targets and a touchdown, and that was with A.J. Brown playing in the game. He's definitely a volatile play, but at 5,600, if I can spend up for players like Henry and Kupp onto the same team, then I'm okay with the volatility.
Yeah, he saw 9 targets, 58 yards, and a touchdown last game. So he's getting the volume for sure, and only 5,600 for Julio Jones.
Yeah, I mean, it's still Julio. He definitely looks like he's not the Julio of old, but it's still Julio.
You know he wants to show up in the playoffs too.
Yep, he never really had that much of a chance except for that one good year from Atlanta where the 28-3 score. Everybody likes to make fun of.
Yeah.
Moving on to tight ends. I'm going to go ahead and punt this position this week, obviously, because I'm trying to spend up at the other position. So I'm going to go with Anthony Firsker versus the Bengals. It's only 5,200. The Bengals have been one of the worst tight end defenses all year. So I'm going to go ahead and take my chance at this. And he gets red zone targets, so I'll go ahead and take that as well. Higbee at 5,400 versus the Bucks is not a bad way to go either. He gets a little bit more volume than Firsker does, but he costs 200 extra. So if you've got the 200 to spend, might as well take Higbee for the little bit of extra volume.
I like CJ Uzama at 5,500. He got 6 receptions on 6 targets last week for 64 yards and a touchdown, and he's still only 5,500. I thought for sure after last game they would have bumped him up over 6,000. But he's still a great value at 5,500, especially if he gets those kind of targets. I also really like Gronk this week. He is expensive at 7,100, but the Rams defense is really lacking when it comes to the inside linebackers and safeties. They have quite a few injuries right now, and I don't see anybody that can really keep. If the Bucks want to win, they're going to have to beat the Rams in the middle of the field, not on the outside, because they got Jalen Ramsey and Mike Evans is going to be clamped down. So I think they're going to have to look at Gronkowski.
Yeah, it seems like a logical play as well.
And then let's move on to our defensive play this week. Who do you like?
So we're at this point in the season where it doesn't matter what defense you go with. Everybody's going to be playing against a good offense. That's why they're at where they're at now in the playoffs. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to take my shot at Packers versus 49ers. They're the most expensive defense on the slate at 4,500. But we mentioned earlier about how Jimmy Garoppolo is still dealing with that thumb injury to his throwing hand. So I'm going to try to get the advantage that I can because, like I said, every defense is playing a good offense. That's why they're at where they're at in the playoffs. So go ahead and take my advantage with the defense against a hurt quarterback. If I can't afford the 4,500, if I can afford to spend the 4,300, 200 less, and take the Rams versus the Bucks. I know it's still going up against Tom Brady, but they got the injuries at wide receiver. They got injuries at O-line. And if you got injuries at O-line when the D-line is being led by the likes of Aaron Donald, sign me up.
Yeah, the Rams are my favorite defense at 4,300 this week. With the injuries to that offensive line, I think the Rams are going to stack Von Miller and Aaron Donald on the same side and just try to put the pressure on Brady. And I think if they can get a formula similar to what the Bucks did to Pat Mahomes in the Super Bowl last year, I think the Rams defense can find success.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to jump into our final segment for the DFS slate for the divisional round. We're going to start something up called the triple threat. So we give you guys plays that obviously that we like, but just because we tell you we like them doesn't mean that we're going to necessarily use them if we can't afford them, things like that, because obviously we can't afford to just throw in the most expensive guys every single where if that's who we take or something like that. So we're going to be starting something called the triple threat and naming 3 players that it doesn't matter if we're playing cash, GPP, or however many lineups that we have. These are going to be 3 players that are going to be consistent in all of our lineups that we make. Who's your triple threat this week?
The 3 players that I'm going to include in most of my lineups and I'm going to build teams around is going to be Josh Allen, Devin Singletary, and Devontae Adams.
Yeah, my triple threat is going to be the stack with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and I'm throwing King Henry in there.
And a few great value plays like we were saying, Cam Akers, CJ Uzama, Julio Jones. That should help you save some salary to get those more expensive guys in your lineup.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for all the support you did throughout the season. Hope you continue to follow us. We're going to be continuing to give you updates throughout the off season. We're going to continue giving you plays throughout the rest of this season, as long as FanDuel has anything set up for the playoffs for the run all the way up to the Super Bowl even. So go ahead and keep on following us, and we'll give you as many plays as we can to help you win some money.
And we are going to stay active, and we're going to do some UFC, possibly MLB or NBA as well.
True.
Absolutely.
I did want to bring up something. Before we get out of here, I want to go with some straight up picks. Who do you got between the Bengals and the Titans?
When it comes to the Bengals and the Titans, I really like the Titans -3.5 this week.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go on the other side of that. There's not much of a hotter team right now than the Bengals. And if we're going to be completely honest, I know they were the 1 seed in the AFC, but there's not much of a luckier team in the NFL right now than the Tennessee Titans. Derrick Henry got hurt early on in the season. And after that, they just had a cakewalk schedule for the rest of the season and played a bunch of cupcakes.
I think the fresh legs of Henry in Nashville is going to be a tough team to beat.
Yeah, so is going to be that passing attack from Joe Burrow.
And now we got the 49ers and Packers. Straight up, 49ers looking at a +195, sorry, and the Packers looking at a -245.
I'm not betting against Aaron Rodgers at home.
No more.
I'm gonna take the money line for the Packers this week.
Absolutely. I'm not betting against Rodgers.
And we got Rams Bucks. I don't really have to ask Jared about that. Garrett, who do you think?
It is extremely hard when you get to this level of play to beat the same team twice. So I'm going to go ahead and roll with Tom Brady and that Buccaneers offense to get their revenge against the Rams.
I really like the matchup for the Rams this week with the injuries to the O-line. I think they're going to get it done this week. I'm going to take their money line.
I think that O-line's gonna affect Brady in the pocket.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know, Garrett.
Aaron Donald and Von Miller's going to eat.
Aaron Donald's going to try to sack Tom Brady several times, and the ball's already going to be out because he likes to throw the ball too quick.
Now we got the Bills, Chiefs. What's up? Go ahead, finish it.
This is a tough game. The over/under set at 54.5. I might take the over on that -115. I'm gonna have to go with the Bills. I think at +110 money line. They just freaking blew out New England last week and showed how dominant of a team they can be. But I mean, betting against Pat Mahomes this time of year is pretty difficult. But I think I'm leaning the Bills. I don't feel comfortable about it, but that's definitely where I'm leaning.
Nah, I'm taking the over, and I'm taking the Bills as well. I'm a little more comfortable than you are with taking the Bills. Just like I was talking about the Bengals, the Bills are just as hot. Josh Allen is coming off one of the greatest quarterback performances that I have ever seen, and he did it against a top 5 defense. You can't bet against somebody who's got that type of momentum going. I like to see what the Bills can do.
All right, that'll do it for our NFL segment. We're going to give you guys our favorite UFC picks as well this weekend. So after viewing this, it's a very good card this weekend. Could be Ngannou's last fight in the ring as well. So
one of the greatest main event cards that we're going to have for a long time.
Sorry, not the ring, the octagon.
Dang. All right, so I did want to recap last week's picks. So it turns out we went 6 for 10 total on the card. We did call a couple of the fights, including Borshev, TJ Brown, and Katlyn Chikadze. There are some that
Chikadze let us down.
Well, he put up a fight. He was a dog, but Calvin Kattar just came in there straight up, man. Just pieced him up the way Holloway did against him. He kept the pressure on, kept crowding the kicks. He looked really good in there. You can't really take anything away from either fighter.
Just Court McGee fight, he just pretty much kept him up against the cage and dominated that whole fight.
Yeah, he's a veteran. He knew what he was looking to do against a rookie like that, and he got it done. Got the win. That's all. That's all that matters at the end of the day. But that Collier Sherman fight, man. If I would have got that, I would have been sitting pretty well right now. But overall, I think I did pretty good. I'm not sure if y'all play the cards on that fight. Did y'all play any of them fighters?
I played the same DraftKings lineup you had.
Okay. I cashed out. I'm not sure if you did. Sometimes it just depends on what pool you're in.
Yep.
But yeah, 6 for 10, not bad for the first time. That is a 60%. Looking at it in school, that's a D. It's not the greatest, but
Yeah, it's still a passing grade.
I think we're gonna nail this fight card. So
I would hope so. But yeah, let's go ahead.
As far as sports books goes, getting a 60 plus percentage is not bad.
Not bad. I'll take it. I mean, hey, I'm happy with that. I feel like I did pretty good. I got some money out of it. Hopefully you guys did too if you're following us. Let's go ahead and start off with we were talking about Trevin Giles earlier. He's going up against Michael Morales, you said he's coming off a contender win.
yeah, Michael Morales won Dana White's Contender Series. This is his debut on a main event, prelims. But I like Giles because he's coming down a weight class. He's going to be the bigger, stronger fighter. And Morales is taking this on short notice. I always go against the fighters that are taking fights on short notice, just because that training camp's so important, I think, for the gas and for the ground game.
Definitely. I mean, they're probably training year round anyway, but whenever you're training for a specific fighter or you're just in that fight camp, for a card, you're going to be training a lot harder. Like Morales, like I said, I'm sure he's training normally, but coming in against Trevin Giles, who's had up already a couple of fights in the UFC, I think he's going to look good in this weight class. I think he's going to take advantage of Morales. He might get it done earlier. I'm not really sure on this one. The over is a -180, over 2.5. I'm sorry, and then the under 2.5 is 150.
I like the over in this fight.
Okay.
Last 3 Giles wins went to the third round, so I'm going to take the over at -180 for over 2.5 rounds, and I'm going to take Giles in the fight at -110. He's my favorite bet of the day with that value.
I'm checking here at my bookie. They're both sitting at -115 right now. I think it's
-115s.
Yeah.
I still like that too. Still good value.
Yeah, I would take Giles in that as well. Let me slide on down to you. All right, so this is a fight I feel like isn't getting a lot of attention. It's Charles Jourdain against Ilia Topuria. Since we last made this sheet here, the odds have changed. Charles is sitting at a +400 and Topuria is sitting at a -600. The thing about this fight is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
They really, Vegas really looks at this as a blowout fight.
Yeah, that's the thing. Jourdain's coming off of a really good win against Andre Ewell, looking solid for the 3 rounds and looked like he even had some extra energy in the third. He can very well take this fight, and sitting at +400, I would definitely put my money on that. I mean, you can't lose too much on that. Topuria, he's a really good fighter, dude. He's coming off of that win against Ryan Hall, put him down in I believe it was the first round.
Yeah, first round TKO.
So
Ryan
you
Hall,
mean you would take him at the -600?
the -6? No, I would take Jourdain just based off of
you're
the
going
odds.
with Jourdain.
I would take Jourdain based off of the odds.
+400 would be a nice hit.
He's got a really good chance of winning this fight. I think a lot of people are counting him out just due to Topuria's record. His resume. He's coming on he's coming on to an 11-fight win streak right now. So that, just that in people's eyes, it's like a guaranteed win. But like I said, Jourdain's got a very, very good chance in this fight.
I mean, Jourdain's record is not terrible either. I mean, it's 12-4, 11 finishes. 8 of them are either a knockout or a TKO. And he's coming off of a win himself over Andre Ewell.
Let's move on to that Pereira fight versus Fialho.
Pereira. Who you got in that one?
I like Pereira. Pereira.
Yeah, it's all right. We're just calling
I
Michelle.
know. Michelle. That's what I like. But in his last three, he's won those fights. His last loss was 2020, February 15th, against Diego Sanchez. And this is another one that I'm strictly going with him because Fialho's coming in short notice. And it's also a debut, so that's a double whammy for me. I always go against that fighter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it doesn't look good for him, but I am willing to take Fialho on this one. I will take the odds just because he's training out of Sanford MMA, which also has the likes of Robbie Lawler training there, Derek Brunson, Roy McDonald, and Luque. So having the ability to train with fighters like those of that high caliber puts him in a really good position against especially against Michel Pereira, who I feel like Pereira gasses really early in his fights. His fight against Nico Price, I believe it was like the second round. He was already just worn down from his, he's a little bit flashy. So all that energy of jumping off the cage and throwing kicks, flashy kicks, it takes a lot out of you. And I feel like Fialho, if he fights smart and, picks his shots here and there, puts on the pressure, keeps him fighting off of his back foot, he can take this fight very easily.
I know Fialho's been on a hot streak with the knockouts lately, but the two of the best fighters that he faced, he got knocked out by them. Right now, the under is sitting at minus 140 for 2.5 rounds, with Michelle minus 280 to win the fight. So, Vegas is looking at this as a potential knockout or submission early.
Right.
And I think I'm going to have to agree with them on this one.
I'll take my odds on this one. Take my chances. I'm going with Fialho on this one. So we're moving on.
And the over is even set at plus odds, so they're definitely
over.
Yeah.
I think it's going
they
over.
They definitely think it's going to get finished.
I think it's going over, and I think Fialho's taking it.
How old is Fialho?
I mean, that'd be a nice parlay for you because Fialho is sitting at plus 220, and then the over is sitting at plus 110.
Yeah, I already got it set. It's already in my pocket. It's ready to go. Just waiting.
How old is Fialho off the top of your head? Do you know?
Top of my head, I don't know. I want to say he's early 20s. Let me check that really quick.
That sounds like somebody I'd be much more inclined to be taking the underdog in Fialho than especially a younger fighter. Pereira is not going to know exactly what to do. Same thing when you get like a young quarterback stepping into the NFL and they just light the world on fire because defenses don't know how to game plan for somebody new. Fialho, he's going to step in there. He's just like the names you said off of who he's training with over at Sanford MMA. He might come in there and surprise Pereira.
That's what I'm hoping for. I just checked his age. He's sitting at 27 right now, which he's getting pretty close to his prime. The prime usually sits around 30, 31. So like I said, I feel like he's still a younger fighter. He's probably growing into the fighter he's going to be down the road. I'm going to take my chances with Fialho. And then moving on to this next fight.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that fight.
Yeah, that's fine. We're going to be watching the same fight in the same night, so I'll be texting you, telling you how you were wrong, bud.
All right, let's go to the Brandon Moreno and Figueiredo round 3.
All right, so this fight, like we talked about earlier, I'm not really sure why this fight is happening again, but I understand it. There's not really much happening in that flyweight division. You have I believe Carl France is in there. Garbrandt just dropped down there. He did take a loss, but I think who was down there? Pantoja, Amosov. I'd have to look, or Askarov. Askarov. I think he's down there as well. But anyway, third fight coming in. Damn, I'm like lost in train of thought. But first fight goes to the draw. The first couple of rounds, Figueiredo was taking that, right? Came in with high confidence, and then later on in the fight, he started dragging a little bit. Moreno started taking that fight. They're going tick for tack. They both had their moments, and Figueiredo got a point taken away in that fight, which eventually led to a draw when he probably could have taken that win over him in a split decision.
Yeah, the first fight was very close.
Yeah.
It ended with Figueiredo just barely leading with significant strikes. He had 137 to Moreno's 132. And that one went, like you said, went all the way to the end. But the next fight is what has me heavily leaning towards Brandon Moreno.
Yeah.
He dominated that fight in significant strikes, 47 to 24, and got the submission finish. So I think Brandon Moreno is going to finish this one again. I don't think it's going to go all the way.
I did notice I
like Brandon Moreno in this fight.
I noticed in the first fight, it looked like Moreno was kind of fighting off of his back foot. And the second fight, Moreno was pushing pressure and put it on Figueiredo, coming forward with stiff jabs, clinches here and there, just fighting pretty slick. And eventually took the win by rear naked choke, I believe, in the third round. But he looked great that fight. And if he comes into this fight, kind of having a similar game plan, I'm not really sure. He could take it. I am taking him in this fight as well. There is a factor, though. Figueiredo has changed fight camps for this fight. He's currently training with Henry Cejudo, and I guess trying to switch up his game plan to be able to take this title back.
He's got to. So if he wins this fight, is it going to go to a fourth fight?
It's going to be part 4. I mean, what else are they going to do? But yeah, a history of UFC, whenever a fighter changes fight camps, they don't normally do that well in their return fight after that fight camp, just due to all the adjustments and everything in the corner with the coaching and all that. But I'm still sticking to Moreno. I think it's going to go over to 3.5. I'm picking the over, and I'm picking Moreno. And then we got this is
the main event.
Exciting fight right here. Yeah, Cyril Gane and Francis Ngannou.
This is where all your pay-per-view money is going for this fight right here.
It's at $74.99 right there on those two names.
That's the
fight that can literally.
I think there are going to be
fight that can literally last 10 seconds. You don't even know.
I think the fights we discussed though could be pretty entertaining fights too. So.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're going to see. I mean, we didn't go over Cody Stamann and Saeed Nurmagomedov. That's going to be a good fight as well. Vieira and Turman. I picked Vieira for my lineup.
And Greg Hardy backed out.
I think he had an injury, if I'm not mistaken. But I think he was supposed to be on the last fight card.
You see that little spat him and Tai Tuivasa had on Instagram?
No, what happened?
You'll have to pull that up. Pretty much, Greg Hardy was dogging Tuivasa about the way he fought that fight. But,
yeah, I mean, Tuivasa knocked him out, so that's all that matters at the end of the day.
That was pretty much his comeback right there.
All right, so who you got for this main fight? I'm curious.
I mean, this main fight, I'm not going to go against Ngannou. He's finished the last 4 of the 5 fights in round 1. So he can come into this one and do the same. But Cyril Gane could touch him up, and I believe Gane has the reach advantage on him, if I'm not mistaken.
So yeah,
if he does, it's only slightly. And surprisingly, the way Vegas has Gane as a favorite in this fight, but I just don't see it. Don't get me wrong; there's not taking anything away from Gane, but I don't know. And Gane is just built different, man.
I really like Ngannou at the plus 115, and I also like the under set at 2.5 for minus 115. I think it's gonna come down to a knockout, obviously.
Yeah, leading up to this fight, there has been a lot of media coverage as far as the video that I believe Gane's camp released of Ngannou and Gane sparring, and it looked like Gane was getting the better of Ngannou, but there's a lot of factors in that. Ngannou could have been training beforehand, taking a lot of sparring rounds before he went into like a fresh Gane coming in there to spar with. So you can't really take that for a legitimate fight in the octagon, because that is just sparring. You're not going to go hard in a sparring session. But
and Ngannou's got the reach advantage, 83 to 81.
Ngannou does.
Either way, that's not that much of a difference, to be honest with you. And with how quick Cyril Gane is, I mean, dude's a heavyweight, moves like he's a featherweight. You know what I'm saying? So
Cyril Gane's undefeated in the UFC, but I don't think he's faced the level of talent that Ngannou had to go through.
That's true.
He fought an older Junior Dos Santos and Alexander Volkov, which that was a close fight. That came down to decision, as well as the fight before that also went to decision.
Mm-hmm.
He did TKO Derek Lewis, which was impressive, but
Yeah,
other than that, his fights haven't been against the top tier.
He played that fight right. He basically just, kept the distance, kicked at the, took out Derek Lewis's legs. You just kind of kept the pressure
and that's
on him.
That's the key for him to beat Ngannou. I think he's got to go for the legs and touch him up.
He's gonna have to fight his ass off to win this fight. He's gonna have to stick and move and evade his big shots, because Ngannou, he can end the fight with one shot.
I think Ngannou is gonna come fast, right out the gate to try and get that knockout. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna be playing this one slow. He did show that he has the takedown defense against Stipe too.
He's been working his wrestling.
He's a well-rounded fighter now.
That's one thing with
he's
Gane.
Not just a slugger.
Gane, I don't believe he possesses that good of a wrestling skill to come into this kind of fight to wrestle Ngannou. So he's gonna rely on his heavy stand up.
Yeah, I think that last fight against Stipe really showcased Ngannou's wrestling. Yeah, and I've been hearing rumors that this could be Ngannou's last time in the octagon. I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah, I've heard talks too. He's been wanting to do different things outside of the octagon as far as boxing and, pull in more money for himself, which I don't blame him, but also he's in a contract with the UFC. He's got to go through this fight. If he wins, I believe they're going to re-sign him and give him the money he's asking for. If he loses, I'm not really sure, but I believe he's still going to hold his value wherever he goes, whether it's boxing or Bellator or wherever he decides to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely he definitely brings in the pay-per-view buyers.
Yeah, he's a big draw. Most of his fights, I believe his average fight time's like 2 minutes and 40 seconds or something. So
ordering an Ngannou fight is like ordering a Mike Tyson fight. But we love to see those knockouts.
Hey, even if it lasts 10 seconds, man. I mean, if you're getting that type of fireworks, you're getting the money. You're getting your money's worth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 74.99. Oh, that's kind of hard to look at now. I mean, it's only a $5 difference, but
you ain't gonna sit there and tell me you pay $75 and see just a massive. You see something like when Masvidal just came flying across with that flying knee against Ben Askren. You can't sit there and tell me you wouldn't be excited to see a knockout like that. You're going to be looking like Joe Rogan. Everybody else over there just.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I would kind of be pissed if it ended that quick, though.
But they're going to be coming out and just throwing, man, because there's a little bit of bad blood between the two of them. Mm-hmm. I know a while back when Francis Ngannou fought Derek Lewis, everybody was excited for that fight too, thinking there was just going to be massive fireworks. Fest. But that ended up being, they both fighters respected each other. They respected their power. They kind of stayed away from each other. It was a boring fight, but this isn't going to be the case. These are fighters that have a little bit of bad blood between each other, like you said, with the Gane camp releasing some of the fight sparring videos, and then everybody's seen the video where Gane looks like he's trying to be friendly, and Gane just blows him off and walks right past him. So I don't think they're going to be respecting each other's distance. They're going to be getting in there and trying to bang.
And that's one thing. And Ngannou's got to come into the octagon and leave all that to the side. If he comes in emotional and starts fighting with that anger, he's probably going to make some mistakes based off of just his emotions.
That's all it takes against Ngannou is one mistake and leaving the hands down, and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
but I don't really agree with the whole releasing the video and thinking
that's a little sketchy. Yeah, I'm not really sure what his camp's doing. I don't believe it's Gane. It's his trainers, if I'm not mistaken, that are doing that.
But I mean, I don't put much weight into that. It's training camp. It's not like,
it's we're gonna see this Saturday how everything turns out. Who's a better fighter. Hopefully it's Ngannou. I'm taking Ngannou straight up. Over under, I'm not really sure. It could go over. They could just play it slow.
It could be like another Derek Lewis and Ngannou fight.
I think Gane's gonna have to stay pretty active to be able to pull the points. And if he makes a mistake, I think Ngannou's gonna capitalize and bull rush
Yeah, it's a 5-round fight, and the over/under is set at 2.5, so it's kind of tough to bet the under. But I'm thinking it goes under.
Under. I'll just take this straight up. I'm going to play
And
it safe on that.
I definitely love that Ngannou's the underdog. I'm taking that for sure.
Yeah, I'd be taking Ngannou in this fight. I can't believe they have him as the underdog, but Cyril Gane has been impressing ever since he stepped in the UFC, so I guess I can see it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who the money's on.
As far as what?
Where everybody's putting their money.
I couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
It has to be somewhat close because, I mean, even though Ngannou's the underdog, he's only the underdog at plus 130. Gane's the favorite at minus 150. I mean, that's about as close as you can get to both being at like minus 115.
Yeah. Well, I just want to remind our followers really quick, if you could, throw us a follow at Twitter, Audibles. What is it? Audibles Sports.
At Audibles Sports. We're also on Spotify now, so you guys can listen so you don't have to watch a video if you're in the vehicle or something.
And we're continuing our YouTube videos. We'll keep those updated for you. Just please give us a follow, like, whatever you got to do on whatever platform it might be.
And we're going to try and stay more active and release more content, especially on Twitter. Just keep an eye out. We're going to be updating our picks for the UFC card. We're going to put all our picks out this weekend. So
yeah,
if you guys want to give us a follow, and like I said, last week we went 6 for 10. We're hoping to up that this week.
Let's get 7. Let's try for 7 this time.
Let's go for 7, but I think we're going to do better than that, actually.
Think so?
Yeah.
Well, you're pulling a straight 10? I doubt it. I don't know. You're pulling the whole card? Because I don't know a lot of these fighters. There's 8 debuts on this card. So there's a lot of names I've never seen before. So we're going to kind of see how that turns out.
And obviously you can't go against all the debut fighters because they pull wins out of their hat all the time.
Yeah, pull some surprises. Well, yeah. Let's go ahead and close this session.
And
up.
a lot of times those guys are more hungry. They want to stick around in the UFC. The other guys are established. They're not really afraid to lose a contract or anything.
Running out of juice here.
All right, thank
Zoom's
you guys.
about to kick us out. All right, thank you, everybody.
Ricky's trying to cut you off the way you did me.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for all your love and support and following us throughout the NFL season and now kicking off the UFC. We appreciate it. Obviously, hopefully you continue to follow us and give us your support. Make sure you follow all of our handles at Audible Sports for most of it. YouTube, Twitter, like we said, we're now on Spotify. On your little daily commute to work, throw us up on Spotify. Try to get a little bit of our input and our insight. Try to win yourself some money.
See you guys.
Thank you, guys.